So Brandon Ingram is killing it for the Pelicans, as his numbers at the moment are kind of nuts. He's averaging 27 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, also 2 blocks, and his efficiency is through the roof. So basically, Brandon Ingram's the best player in the league. I think it's safe to say he's not going to continue to shoot 53% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. But he's clearly a lot more comfortable with taking them now, whereas up to this point he's taken like 2 a game, and it had to be open, and he wasn't going to take a lot of contested ones and all that sort of stuff. So that immediately makes Ingram like a more intriguing scorer and someone who could probably be a little more efficient. Granted, his efficiency has gotten better every year. If you can just expect him to take more threes moving forward, and maybe he ends up shooting, 36, 37%, then that'll be good. I mean, his true shooting last season was like 55%, and he might do that again, but just on more attempts, or maybe he really will be closer to 60, which, he's over at the moment. I don't know, but that's definitely interesting stuff. The other thing, which is just the general creativity and getting through defenders, and the way that he can, it's like a fadeaway, but not really a fadeaway. Granted, he's like 6'9", and he's not 6'9", he's really like 7 feet tall, to where he could just shoot the ball over damn near everybody. That is going to be a constant, no doubt. The mid-range has been kind of nuts. Like, he's not even shooting that many free throws. He's only shooting 3 a game at the moment, because he's just pulling up on dudes, and they can't really do anything about it. Now, do I think, similar to the threes, do I think he's going to keep on shooting 53% on these? No. But it's fair to say Brandon Ingram is simply better than what he was, and he was already improving each year. I mean, I've been positive on the dude pretty much from the jump, because I was always intrigued by the versatility in his game, and now the dude's just getting buckets. And it also seems like he knows how good he is, which that might have been something you could have argued, like, he's kind of hesitant at times or something, definitely with the shooting, up from outside and all that. And maybe this is a case of him just going into this because Zion is hurt, but I don't know. I feel like Brandon Ingram would have had this mentality anyway, which is, I just got traded from the Lakers, I got to prove to them that they screwed up. And he was also coached by Luke Walton for a little while, and you could argue that Luke's time with the Lakers was not good, even if the team technically got better. And, last year he was playing next to LeBron, and, sometimes next to LeBron, dudes, they just kind of get put into a box where it's like, you're not going to have the ball as much, so when you finally do get the ball, please do something good, and if you don't, well, guess what? You're a spot dude now. Whereas now, the Pelicans have no choice but to just embrace everything Brandon Ingram does, and it's paying off for them, clearly. Now, if you want to be super cynical, you could be like, yeah, well, they're losing, so who cares? I would disagree, because number one, they're not getting killed. They went to overtime against the Raptors. They lost to the Rockets by 3. I mean, they've only played good teams up to this point. I guess if you think Dallas sucks, then that could be a thing. But that's number one. Number two, of course, Zion has not played. Number 3, Drew has been kind of bad. He's missing a lot of shots, and we do not expect that to continue. Also, another thing to be intrigued by, Lonzo's shooting has been kind of amazing. 37% on 8 threes a game. The form seems to be going well up to this point. And the reason I mentioned Lonzo is because, if he's also going to be able to make some threes, then suddenly the idea of, well, between Ingram, Lonzo, and Zion, they're not going to have a lot of shooting. That might be completely gone. Now, it's probably still a little bit there when Zion comes back and stuff. But it might not be some spacing black hole that you could have envisioned it being up to this point, And I think when you look at Zion and all that, and you say, all right, well, if you give this guy, if you sag off of Zion and you allow him to get a little bit of momentum towards the rim, that could be pretty tough to deal with on defense. So, yeah, maybe the spacing problems that we thought were going to be here for the Pelicans might not totally be a thing if Ingram and Lonzo's shooting keeps up. Now, I'm not expecting Lonzo to keep making it on 8 threes a game and all that, but yeah. This is mainly about Brandon Ingram, though, so we want to stick to that. How are Zion and Ingram going to coexist? Because I think it's safe to say, like, Ingram should be shooting the ball a lot up to this point, you know? Well, could you run Ingram, Zion, pick and rolls? I mean, teams will probably switch that, and if a wing is defending Ingram and a 4, maybe even a 5 is defending Zion, you switch that. Ingram could be good enough to beat that guy off the dribble. Zion is probably going to be big and strong enough to deal with that guy in the post. It'll depend on the team. Like, some teams will have the size to where you feel pretty good about switching that, but I don't think every team is going to have that. So that's number one. Now, could you trap Ingram and force him to make a play? That's a possibility, but now you're leaving Zion open around, I don't know, the free throw line, or maybe a step out of the free throw line, which that could be scary to deal with. I guess the one time it could be trouble spacing-wise would be if Ingram does his ISO thing, and then Zion is kind of chilling from, I don't know, like 7 feet from the basket. But with how good Ingram has been in mid-range, combined with just Zion's general gravity and ability to convert almost anything, assuming you just throw it in his general area code, I don't know. I feel like they could make that work. I can see how it could occasionally get clunky, especially if you have Derek Favors in there at center. But I don't know. Call me optimistic about the Brandon Ingram-Zion duo, with Ingram shooting a lot. Like a lot. The dude's taking 20 shots a game right now. And if he keeps this up, or keeps up something close to it, then most improved could definitely be in Brandon Ingram's season. But of course, we're 3 games in, so let's not jump to conclusions, but we can definitely be optimistic, especially when you look at just how Ingram's career has gone up to this point. So Brandon Ingram's doing well, and that's it.